What's happening, folks? It's your man Patrick Jackson, the game changer here. Wanted to have a quick conversation with you all about what is transpiring, what is happening. Um, Especially got the news, a lot of stuff been going on, a lot of things that I want to start to share and dive into a dialogue and conversation with everyone about this very important topic that we've been discussing for a very long time when it came to police brutality, everything that's been happening with George Floyd, all the issues that's been happening across the country when it comes to police brutality and what has been done and what has been going on with it to have some type of forward progress in making some of these changes happen. Recently, um, an officer um, killed himself, black officer killed himself. And it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm gonna play the video. I'm gonna play the video for y'all so y'all can check it out, see exactly what happened, um, give a little bit more understanding and details of what transpired in this particular case. But this brother's story needs to continue to get out. He did kill himself, um, and before he killed himself, he had left a video that has been circulating around, and his conversation is about racism, police brutality, and the department that he worked for. So it gives a little bit of content about himself, him being ex-military, him serving as an officer for so many years and wanting to institute change and create change, but could not just because of the position that he's in and the big machine that wouldn't allow him to do so. And so a lot of times um, we've come out with information about really changing the culture, really having things changing in departments, and then it seems as though this blue wall of silence isn't real. That is not a real conversation. This man literally wanted to make some type of change and some type of noise by pretty much giving his life. But I'm going to play the video, for y'all so y'all can check it out. Listen to it. It's about a 7-minute video. Then we'll start to kind of go into it, have a discussion, give your thoughts, give your opinions as the video is rolling, kind of give some of your comments and commentary, and then I could try to come back and give some of that information as well as we do that. So I want you guys to check out the video so that you understand exactly what is going on. So I want you guys to pay attention, check it out, look at it, know what's happening. All right.
Okay, it's January 31st, a little bit after 1:30. I was kind of hoping to see the Super Bowl. I served with a full heart in the military. After that, got back into law enforcement. Listen, y'all entrust me to safeguard your little ones, your small ones, your thing that's most precious to y'all, and I did that well. Loved my job, loved it, loved every aspect of it. Finally found something I could call my own and made it my own. This killing that's going on, especially by the police, which I am. I can't abide by this no more. I'm not having anything to do with this nonsense anymore. No, this is a very big deal to me. This is a tipping point. And just to continue to think that we can just do what we've been doing and just hit the status quo like that, and people, no, none whatsoever. This is wrong. It needs to be resisted against, and you have an obligation and a duty to do that. Because if not, you're complacent. But I would be complacent if I continue just doing what I am doing and not saying anything. I've tried to bring things to people's attention, little small things, but it's a system, and I'm a small cog in this whole big machine. So all this cold or blue solid, no, sorry. I'm gonna be on the right side of this one. And you're getting away with it. When is enough going to be enough for people? Huh? Seriously. Y'all are radicalizing people, and then when they buck and they want to go against the system because it's not for them, you come down on them with a hammer. Let's go down the list. Both of them? Shot in his own apartment. How that work? How does that work? Chilling on his couch. I don't give a damn if he had weed in the apartment. You're going to execute somebody for that? Oh, no, y'all are good for that. You break up families for a plant, this war on drugs and this nonsense. But now it's starting to get legal because big pharmaceutical companies stand to make billions off of it, and they paid off the lobbyists, who in turn have started ushering the way it needs to go for them. The countless people who are doing time behind that. How do you even make amends for that? You can't. This Floyd, Brianna, this shit's not right. I'm telling you, it's not. If this feels right to you as a person, there's something is wrong with you. This is the furthest thing from right. People are so busy calling themselves Republicans and Democrats, they don't even just be a decent person anymore. He was under the influence of something. No, that is an easy cop out just to say that I am. Because that will then allow a dialogue not to be started. It needs to be talked about. This is insane, about to go off the rails. Listen, I understand we have a tough job, but we signed up for this. We need help. Mental health and wellness, they definitely need that. Look, we need, I don't know how you're going to do it. We get people get one psyche valve or just checkup. And that's in the hiring process. It needs to happen. And it is in the stigma that is surrounding it needs to be lifted too, because that is insane. We need help. People need help. It is okay to say you need help. More transparency. I understand certain things can't be divulged, but the public doesn't trust us. We are losing the public's trust. We serve at the pleasure of the public. This is my protest against police brutality and everything else that comes along with it in this broken, wicked, worldly system that does not give a damn about people. I don't know what it cares about, but it don't care about us. It truly don't. It does not. So I hope y'all do something with that. I know what I gotta do. Search your heart, find out what you gotta do. Everybody has a different role to play. This part, this one, this is mine.
So let's have a conversation at this particular junction, right? That was heavy. That was deep. That was a lot that came with that. Um, it's a major conversation, man, that definitely needs to continue to have on the importance of just coming across that video is something that I definitely believe is a conversation that has to continue to happen. When it comes from an officer, I know that there are a lot of officers that feel the same way that this gentleman feels, where they want to do something but can't, don't have the platform to do so, and a lot of times, and so, or the clout to do anything. So they, like he stated, you go over some of the things that he said. He tried to do some things. He tried to um, get involved and make changes in some type of way, but there's such a resistance to change the brutality part, right? That's that is the most disturbing piece that's surrounding this whole thing is the fact that the conversation continues to go down the same road, and then the big controversial issue that happens, right? And then the conversation dies down with little to no change. It's not much movement far as change is concerned. There's a lot of talk, um, but the real piece of change that is happening in our communities are not happening because of a few reasons. One, the police unions are extremely strong. Um, and these are things that he's highlighting when he's talking about these machines. It's the police union. It is the pharmaceutical companies. All of them are in one big pot because you're talking about jobs. If you're uh, any of you that was in economics or school and things of that sort, it's all about supply and demand. So if there's no supply of people that are in the room, there's no big demand when it comes to petty stuff like marijuana and all those type of little things that we lock people up for a long time for. So him wanting to make some type of dent or change in the system, he looking over the amount of span of time that he was involved in law enforcement and some of the changes that he was wanting to make. You could do say he loved his job. He didn't just like his job. How many of y'all love your job? Like, ain't too many of y'all love your job. The guy loved what he did and wanted to uh, make a change and a difference. I believe that throughout his career he did, but he didn't feel it was in a meaningful way for progress for people that look like him. So although he was doing some good things, he may have been inspiring. The culture change of getting in there, changing the culture, you being involved, people being able to see you as a person and being able to see that all people are not that way and you can treat people a little bit differently. That stems to continue to go down a different road. But he was so entrenched in wanting to make change that he decided to be a martyr for the cause so that the conversation could continue. He wanted to show that the system is so messed up that he had to go and take his own life in order for some type of publicity to come forth, right? He didn't go out and shoot and kill a bunch of officers, right? He didn't go out and do nothing crazy to where he wanted to make sure his name was clean, his record was clean, that he was a great guy. He showed himself in the right way. He did his job exceptional, and he did it for so many years in a phenomenal way that as people are looking into him, they have to try to discredit him in some type of way because he's saying that he wants to change the system and the culture. And obviously he felt that those that were in power, those that were in authority of him, those that allowed him to be in the position that he was in, that was in power over him, didn't have that same feeling of change. Because if they did, then guess what? They would have been working together, pushing forward for those different changes. And so when you have these different unions and things like that, that protect you, that are riding with you, that are down with you for whatever cause and issues and stuff that you have going on, guess what? You have to be a part of that solution. If you're not a part of whatever they have going on, then you become an outsider. Now you are cast away and you're crazy, or they try to push you out the system because you're not going with the status flow of what they believe. You're not going with the status flow with what they believe. So if you're not going with the status flow with what they believe, then you become a crazy person, a person that's delusional, a person that is crazy, and you become, get all these disciplinary acts, and then all of a sudden you're pushed out, or you're pushing papers or something like that. And this guy worked his way up, worked his way through this process of being a career officer. It was part of his career. It wasn't something that he was in and out about. It wasn't something that he popped up and it was something that he just decided to do one day. It was in him. He said he loved it. You know, it's not too many people that say that they love something. So the guy loved what he did, but the narrative of this story has to be some type of change, because him sacrificing his life to show that he was a model officer that wanted to put some type of change within the system. What are some of the things that's broken? He had even mentioned some of them. He mentioned George Floyd. Even through all of that, he still hasn't seen any real systemic change that happened, right? We were we're majorly caught up with the election. We're majorly caught up with the election and what's going on with Trump and, getting him out of office. Now Kamala and Biden is in office and stuff like that. But what actually happened in between that time, from the time of George Floyd killing to now, what systemic change has happened? This is what this guy is looking at. He's looking at years of stuff being pushed under the rug. He's trying to make change, and he's trying to do it behind, within your departments and stuff, right? And so then all of a sudden you get this huge national attention across the world. People are supporting it, and then nothing is still happening. You have the guy a couple of years ago that he had mentioned that went and shot some officers and killed a few officers because he had told on the officers for doing wrong, and he was reprimanded for it. So he was in trouble for turning in officers that was doing wrong, and then he went off, killed some officers, and then they ultimately went and killed him. He didn't want to go that route. He wanted to show that he was a model citizen, because that obviously didn't work, right? He looked like a bad guy, and his career and stuff was over all because he had told a black officer had told on a white officer, white lady officer, I believe, if the story was correct, if I remember it correctly. But his situation, you know, his whole career went because he was doing his job. Someone was misusing the community and couldn't be trusted, and he went and did his job, which was to turn in the officers that's doing something wrong. And so by him doing that, he got in trouble. And so these are the things that aren't talked about, and why people don't really see much real change. You know, it's some a bunch of talk and a couple of little documentation things that you can put on paper to act like you're doing, but it's not systemic. It's not real systemic change. And then people, you know, they you know, people make dollars and stuff off of this stuff. People make money off of folks by keeping the community at bay. Folks not being honest, not being upfront, you know, wanting to be in the limelight to talk about making change, but then no real change comes. Nothing actually comes because folks become gatekeepers to not really want to see the change happen. It's just real talk. And they can, you know, they can say they're going to do a bunch of stuff, and they got the news and everybody else saying that these things are coming and these things are going to happen. And then but you hear nothing, right? You don't hear anything else. You don't hear nothing else about what has happened, what is going on, what is taking place. And this is exactly what this officer is seeing. He's bringing up all of these different cases. He's like, man, this dude got shot in his own house. You know, you get killed in your own house. This ain't no call for, you know, lady off duty officer. Then you had the judge hugging the lady because she didn't shot this brother, and knowing that, you know, they have some type of relationship situation. And so he's bringing up these different cases to show that, man, these things are national news, national. And the stuff is still not changing, right? It's still not changing. None of it has changed. It hasn't changed for the better for us because it's always talk. They, you know, it's everybody pointing a finger at somebody else. And I'm sure that's exactly what he felt. Somebody else is pointing a finger at somebody else. Somebody else is saying something to somebody else. And then none of it is really bringing any type of real systemic change. All of it is talk. Folks don't really want the higher ups really don't want that type of change. The politicians really don't want that type of pressure because they're going to get pressure from the police unions. And so from that, you have a really strong backing of, you know, from the police unions. So guess what's going to happen? Nothing. You know, they're threatening you, hey, we ain't going to support you as a candidate for the next, you know, your next term. And so then they step back. You can go and look at a lot of the politicians voting, you know, just voting on certain policies, voting on Senator Bradford brought certain bills to the table that would change, even right here in California, some of the laws when it comes to police oversight, and even changing their classification to where they would have to be carded like a doctor or a lawyer or someone like that. And of course, it can be taken away. That classification can be taken away, and or a person can be sued based on their performance. And you go look at the voting record. Go look at those that folks will smile with and take pictures with, and they'll come to your functions and do all these other types of things. But the actual voting process of what they vote for in your communities, always to the detriment of your communities, not to embetter the communities, is that they use folks as pawns. And then some of these folks know this, and they still have folks come and they'll high five each other and they'll take pictures, and they make the community believe that they're doing something progressive. They make the community believe that they're trying to do something better, but in all realness, they're not. They're not. They have no intention. Their whole intention is to give you the okie doke. Because their voting record shows it. The voting record shows it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna have to go and do a video and show y'all the voting records. That's what I'm going to have to do. That's what I'm going to have to do. I'm gonna have to pull up voting records on some of these bills so that you all can see what the constituents as they come down, right? As they come down and want to talk to you and want to see the embetterment of what you have going on during election time. Everybody can pop up and be around and do, the happy dance. And I see all of that. I see all of that. Being with my family and stuff, I see all these things that are happening, and you could just watch it. You could just watch it and see who is actually wanting to change and who's bought. A lot of them is, and it's politics. I understand politics, but don't come and lie. If you ain't gonna do it, you ain't gonna do it. That's all I'm saying. If you ain't gonna do it, you ain't gonna do it. The hell with you. Then you ain't gotta waste nobody's time. Y'all wasting folks' time. But folks, we have to get out of the feel good type situations. And you gotta quit looking at folks that consider themselves in leadership. Because push comes to shove, these folks mean us no good if they're not voting on the things that's going to better us. It's going to take policy. You can throw together any type of committees and all this type of stuff. It's not going to bring systemic change because the laws won't allow it to happen. So what you want them to do is you want them to support, just like this officer that we're talking about that took his life to show that the system is not trying to get better. The system isn't trying to get better. That is trying to hide itself as much as it can and weather the storm, weather this issue, whether you try to divert, the attention anywhere else, divert it anywhere else besides anywhere else besides the real issue, which is policy, whether it's state, whether it's federal, those things, folks are not trying to have that real actionable process to get it going. Because that's what that officer needed. That officer needed the chief and all the other officers to be on board like, hey man, this is a problem. We do got some bad apples in here. Let's support a bill that's going to change this. How many officers are you seeing say that police brutality is a problem? Now, we're quick to say that gang violence is a problem in our community. We don't deny that. We realize that is a problem in the Black community. Gang violence, we don't want that. We're not accepting that. That can easily come off of our lips. Now, somebody doing something wrong, man, hey, they need to be locked up. Can't be out here killing people, man. That's not right. That's not right. But how many officers and departments and unions are saying we need to change this system? You see all these things on the news about them feeling like they're being attacked. How you being attacked as a police officer and we talking about police brutality? Who isn't against police brutality? It seems like it's like those words are just not ringing in the ears properly or something. I don't understand. It's like you say police brutality, that means all police. You see that's that gang type mentality. It's like you're all on one side. You're all with one type of system because you're against a particular group of people which should be a small group of people, right? It should be an extremely small group of people that are against it. A small group, an extremely small group. And so, but if you're an enabler, just like a person that goes and rob a bank and a person in the car, right? He's accessory to the fact. So he get the same time too. So this guy that's an officer that killed himself felt like he is a part of the issue because there's nothing that he's been able to do about it because he's been pushing to try to get it done. He's been pushing to try to get other people to come on board and make these different type of changes within the department. And folks, it blows my mind for us to have this conversation and for people to think that we're against officers. I don't think there's not too many people that I know, or people that I haven't run into anybody that's against officers. We're against the bad ones. Get the bad ones out, hold them accountable. We appreciate our officer, our law enforcement that comes and do their job, and they do their jobs right. And it's just like any other profession. Teachers, get them raggedy teachers out of there if they ain't doing right. They ain't teaching kids right. Get them out of there. We don't want no bad teachers. So if you say you against bad teachers, you against all teachers. Come on, man. Y'all, this whole concept, I mean, y'all gotta be smarter than that. Gotta be smarter than a box of crayons, man. But it seemed like this big, and that's what this brother talking about, this big old wall of blue that has been said time and time again for officers that have tried to come forward. They have been blackballed. They have been put away. And those people aren't highlighted. Those people are not highlighted. Why? Because they're silenced. Why are you silenced about people doing something wrong? Come on, man, make that make sense. It's like we don't take the time to really think. We don't take the time to really think. Make that make sense. If you're against something that is wrong, if you're against rape, that what the heck that mean? If a man rape a woman and you against rape, you think you against all men? No, you against guys that rape women. They need to be locked up. Okay, pay the cost for whatever you did. Right? Nobody's asking for people to have special treatment. We're saying for officers that are in the wrong, then they should pay the consequence. They can't hide behind these walls because it is going to hurt us. And that's what the brother have been trying to get into our minds, get into our spirits, get into our thought process that we want and we need this change for our communities. He tried to change it. He said, man, the only way I think I can be effective man, if that don't stir your soul up a little bit, the only way the dude felt he could be effective was to kill himself because he knows that he has done an exceptional job as an officer. And he pushed to try to get this change done, and he couldn't get it done, and he wanted to bring awareness to it. He wanted to bring awareness that nothing is being done. What's up, Sherry? She said, true. Brother Robert, happy feet. What's going on, my man? He said, right? The brother Lee, he said, doesn't that speak more to the system than to a few bad apples? Man, you hit it right on the head. You hit it right on the head. But that's if they're saying that it's a few bad apples. That means the whole a few bad apples what spoiled the bunch, right? So the few bad that they're trying to protect makes the entire system look bad because they're trying to protect the few that they feel are important. That those few that are bad are more important than the community. The few people that they say that are in the wrong, right? They're willing to sacrifice the relationship with the community in order to keep that blue wall up. And it's like You know, and that's where the concept, you know, we're talking about Black Lives Matter, then we go into Blue Lives Matter. It's like, what the heck do all of this stuff mean? You're going into Blue Lives Matter. Blue is a color, man. Come on. You know, that's a police officer is not, you know, a certain people ain't black people are not attacking officers and killing officers and you know all this type of stuff. That's why it just confused me when people bring these things up and it just doesn't make any sense. And I would encourage people to really look at how the system has continued to operate. So we went through the election, did all this stuff, and George Floyd, you know, that was a huge worldwide uh, outcry. And I would like to know what real systemic change has happened. Because that's what this brother is talking about. He's sitting back. It's the end of January. It's the end of January. We done made it to 2021, and we got everything else on the books besides the issue that we started with. Right? Everything else. Our teacher said protecting the few is what was causing the whole system to be viewed negatively. Right. The entire system is being viewed like that. Like I said earlier, few rotten apples spoils the bunch. You don't pick them apples out. That's wrong. And how do you do it? You have a police union that supports bills that will support the process of making these systemic changes. That's how you know if true community and true change are in the hearts of those that really want the change, right? That means the system really wants to be a part of the change that we are wanting to display and wanting to do. It takes all of us. It takes all of us being a part of that change in order for it to happen, right? It takes all of us to be a part of the systemic change in order for it to really put things in perspective. If we're gonna do so, man, you can't get more committed to wanting the change done than the brother said. I'm willing to sacrifice my life. That's what he said. The brother said, I'm willing to put my life on the line because it seems like nobody's listening to me. Nobody is paying attention to me. No one is bringing forth what needs to be done. That's the issue. That's the main issue. This brother have sacrificed himself in order to create some type of change. He sacrificed himself in order to bring about the change that he felt that he could make. But that's where all of us have to continue to try to fight and help push that change that this brother has put out. Now, I looked at it and I said, do our politicians, are we that insensitive to the lives of those that we see? Are we that insensitive to the lives that we continue to see every day? Because it's the least of us. That's the problem. Because you got folks that will go and represent and try to advocate for Black folks, but don't really understand the real concerns and really wanting the real change. And I'm gonna put this out here too. Let me say this too. Some folks think you can pray this thing away. Okay, you think you can get these officers and pray that God gonna make a change in their hearts and all this type of stuff. Listen, That is a choice. That is a choice. You can't force a group of people to change. They ain't going through no uh, seminary classes when they going to become an officer. You know, whatever God you profess to believe in, those people, they ain't got to believe in that. Okay, they can not even believe in God at all. They can be an atheist. You can still be an officer. They ain't stopping you from being an officer. So, you know, although we can pray for our officers, we want our officers to be safe. We want them to be well. We want them to do their job and do it safely and well, because we want them to feel protected as well. But the conversation is, when they're in the wrong, they're in the wrong. There should be a real process that is separate from them, because it has been a corrupt system. It has been a corrupt system. And what is continuing to happen is that we're trying to have a system that pushes down our throats the change that they want to see. They really want us to be quiet about it. If we really look at what the brother did, because he killed himself. So obviously he's seen it dying out. He listed the multiple issues that he's seen that went national, not the one that he just knew about, but he talked to us about stories that he knew we all knew about, right? And he's looking at this, he's like, I'm trying to make change. You got all these backing, we got all these things that's going on that involve police brutality, and nothing is changing within the system. No real movement is being done. It's just talk. We'll sprinkle a little something there, but it's just a bunch of talk, and we'll sprinkle a little something there, and then that's it. But nothing is really being moved or changed. If I'm wrong, let me know, because the brother, he has taken his life so that folks would know that it's that serious. That he felt so convicted in his heart to try to make some type of change. His final hurrah to try to make change for the communities and for people that look like him. He got a fat career. He's about to retire, you know, with a nice pension and stuff like that. He's doing good. But he said, this just ain't right. I've seen some, man, knowing the insides of how this stuff operates and how people think and actually move is sad. It's a sad thing. Most people don't get to see the insides of how these things operate. I've been blessed and privileged to be able to do so and be able to interact with folks. I've had conversations with particular officers and wanting to create some type of change, but within the system they can't. And so that's why I get a little bit more indignant when it comes to these type of conversations, when people come in and try to make it seem like they know what should go on and what should happen with police when it comes to police brutality and what should go on and what changes can happen. And I sit back and I laugh and I'm like, there's no change that's gonna come with that. Absolutely nothing. And people are like, oh, you don't think nothing? Nah, I mean, it's gonna look like it's some good stuff, but you can doll up doo-doo, make it look good. As soon as you bite into it, what you gonna get? Doo-doo. Period. That's all it is. So the image of what we want as a people is going to have to take a major and large push, because it's not predicated on what I think. It's about what's happening and the reality of what is happening, the reality of what is taking place. And so that's a major piece that has to be discussed and has to really come to the forefront of what is happening within our communities. Artista said the video mentioned that there was only one psychological evaluation. That's very true. So coming from a mental health professional, working with trauma, we ethically bound to seek counseling in order to renew our license. Imagine police officers working with and experiencing trauma directly or indirectly, not having the true support, accountability to maintain mentally and emotionally stable. I agree. But and that's where that has been a conversation about more psyche valves and things like that. Some of the brute of the issues of some of those officers at the ninth and 10th year, in between that range, between the ninth and 15 years of serving, get kind of in that groove and in that position. And so he did mention that these guys and these gals need help. Some of them need help. They've been through some traumatic situations, and being an officer is not an easy job. And that's why I continue to reiterate that we appreciate our officers. We appreciate the sacrifice and the hard work that they're doing. In that same regard, we don't want the bad ones. The good ones need to put the bad ones out. We need to make sure that those officers are put out of the system and they can't be protected. You know what I mean? That's the sad part. You have, it's that same crazy process of thinking. Like you have a rapist in your family and you're protecting him. Why? 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 That person is wrong. They need help, and they need to get dealt with quick, fast, and in a hurry. Miss G, hey, what's happening? She said praying for change is praying to God for change. Prayer and action is required. Consistency is key. Stay on our watch. Even small change is change. I agree. I agree. We definitely have to continue to pray. But she also said action needs to take place, which is critical. Action is the key, people. Action is the key. If you have no action, you ain't got nothing. You just around here talking. You know what I mean? It's like she talking about praying, right? You got to pray. You got to pray. It's like you're praying for a job. You praying for a job. God gonna bless me with the job. God gonna bless me with the job. And then you ain't gonna fill out an application. Make that make some sense. Make that make some sense somewhere. You ain't took no action to actually go and get the job, but you sitting up here praying to God for a job. This same situation we're talking about here. You can't keep just praying, and Ms. G hit it on the head. You can't just be out here praying, but you actually have to have some actionable items for those changes to occur. You can't change anything or systemic change because our communities are needing systemic change. It can't be a small change. It's like you're going in, you having a heart attack, right? You having a heart attack, and somebody gonna give you some NyQuil. Well, it may help you in some type of way, right? You getting some small change is happening. You feeling a little, relaxed, but you don't supposed to get relaxed. You supposed to you having a heart attack. They gotta crack you open. They gotta clear that up, right? So it really ain't helping you to the full extent because you need some major change to happen. And that's what's happening now. Folks want to put in small trinkets of changes so that they can shut you up. That's what it is. They're trying to give you the okie doke. I'm trying to give y'all the game. Y'all got to listen. They want to give you the okie doke because that's all they trying to do is give you the okie doke. They want to give you a small thing here and there, give you this small thing, and then it ain't really nothing that's going to be sustainable or trickle down to the communities that are dealing with these issues, right? We talking about hiring more black officers. This officer just killed himself for that reason. It's the culture of the system. Ain't enough black people to get in the force for it to be created a different system. A lot of them, end up getting corrupted by the system because they get crushed by it. Just like our brother here, he said that he was trying to make change, but he couldn't make the major changes needed because the system would not allow him to. You're bucking against something that don't want to change. You're not working with the system that wants to change. It's hard to work with people on any team, right? Even if you're in school, you're trying to do a school project, and you got 3 or 4 people on one team. If this person is being lazy, they don't want to do it. This person ain't showing up to do the project. And they just talking about they want to do the project together, but they ain't really did nothing actionable to do anything. Then guess what? The project never gets done. It's a team effort. Obviously, this brother is showing us a prime example of the system. This brother is showing us a prime example of the system, how it looks, what is going on with it, how it's doing within our communities, and how it's not creating a systemic change in order for us to make a major difference in the way that we need to. That's what it's going to take. It's going to take that whole process. Ms. G also said, yes, she spoke that the officers need to be tested more often. That's right. They need to be tested more often. Although they need to be tested more often, they also need to have a system that's going to discipline. I said this before. It's just like an undisciplined child. You tell a child, right, don't go in the cookie jar. The child goes in the cookie jar and gets a cookie. You come back, you see the child with the cookie in his hand. You tell the child, I told you not to go get any of those cookies. The child again goes back into the cookie jar. You come back, see the child with the cookies. Didn't I tell you not to put your hands in the cookie jar? The child goes again and gets some more cookies. And then you come back and you look at the child, you say the same thing over and over again, but you do nothing. You don't discipline the child, you don't put them in timeout, there's no consequences. They go on and play on their video games and do whatever. So now you're teaching that child what you tell them means absolutely nothing. And that's exactly what is happening with the department. Is that it's like it's showing them no matter what they do, there's no real discipline that's going to come to them because they're going to have the union that's going to protect them. There's no real discipline that's going to take place. And that's what this officer was trying, or it is trying to get the message out to the masses by martyring himself in this fashion. That I've been trying to tell folks that this is a problem. The system has shown that there is a crazy problem that's going on and it's not being solved. I'm a part of this system that I want to help change, and it's not allowing me to change it. Someone please help. Someone please help. We're over here not allowed to change the system for whatever reason. I'm thinking we're doing good work. I'm thinking that we're all on the same page. But guess what? We're not. We're not. They don't really want the change. They don't really want the change to happen. And they don't really want it to happen in a systemic fashion. And that's why we continue to go down the things that we're going down. This is Black History Month. And, the issues that we've continued to have as a people to progressively move forward as a people has put us in a position to where we have to fight for progress, for folks to feel safe, for people not to be used in a negative fashion. But those conversations seem like it's hard to have them for some reason. For some reason, it seems like it's hard for people to realize that this is more of an issue than what folks are trying to tell you. Folks ain't really trying to tell them that. They're not really trying to tell folks that this is a major issue and then we need to get some real solutions. Because the politicians don't want it. Because the police unions don't want it. When police union, they bring their team and say, well, we're not going to support you on your next election if you go this route, if you push this, if you go and support this. So bills and things like that have been created, but it shows who really wants some type of change. And then those that are complaining about the bills that were presented, well, was presented by you? What systemic change did you present? What systemic change did the individual that shut it down? What are you talking with your colleagues about this particular issue that we've continued to see across the nation? And the ones that have been highlighted on national news are one of many, a few of many, many that have happened across the country. The untold ones, the ones that people don't know about, the ones that people have continued to have trauma issues are grown, had happened to them, their loved ones when they were a kid, happening to them as adults, you know, being racially profiled, all these different things, and the laws that come with targeting African Americans. And so it seems like the more that we want to progress, and this is where, you know, the other thing that we'll continue to talk about, which is, you know, trying to embed the individual. And while we're trying to embed the individual, you still got obstacles that are trying to get in your way. There's obstacles that's trying to put you in harm's way so that you can't get to your goal, which shouldn't be. These shouldn't be issues and obstacles that we should have to deal with, but we do. And that's the reality. And that's, it seems like the it shouldn't be the norm. That's the problem. It should not be the norm. That should not be the norm. And that has to be the real conversation. The norm should not be police brutality on people of color, and it be okay. That shouldn't be the norm. That shouldn't be the norm. The same way as killings in neighborhoods that we're fighting against shouldn't be the norm. And then, you know, if the person did it, they need to be turned in and prosecuted and dealt with in the way for the crimes that they've committed. But that's not the conversation that is happening when it comes to police brutality. You know who did it, you know the way that they did it, then all of a sudden all of these other things come about when you're trying to protect them. That becomes a major issue. All of these laws that allow the officers to be protected when they're in the wrong. That's the hardest thing ever, is when someone is in the wrong and then you're not able to deal with them as far as the law is concerned. And then folks keep coming back and forth saying that they want this relationship with the police departments. Like, what type of relationship you trying to build? Like, how is that even gonna happen? There's no real apology to the black community about what has happened and what has taken place. Where's the apologies at? Where are these things at that we should be apologized to about all the years that have taken place and have continued to take place? And then when you say sorry, you need to come with something that's going to make the change. What are you going to do to really emphasize the major change that's going to take place? What are you going to do to really put yourself in a position to really say that we want a real relationship? Because right now they're just fake relationships. They're not real relationships. They're just talking, you know, just saying that you want a relationship, but then that's the only way to really get in, is by really having something that is concrete, that's going to show the community that the sincereness of what is going to take place. Okay. So I am just wanting to come bring some type of awareness to this issue, to our brother, the falling officer that martyred himself, to bring awareness to the plighted issues that Black America and Brown America is dealing with, which is police brutality. An officer, a brother that served our country well, served as an officer well, and wanted to try to make some type of change with the job that he loved, got on the inside and wanted to be that champion for change because he loved his job. And he believed that everyone else there loved their job. And with everyone working together, that this would not be a hard thing to change. But he's seen year after year after year after year after year, no real change happened. That's this brother's story. And he wants the officers to get help. He wants the community to feel protected, just like anyone else. He doesn't want these guys representing him that are a good officer and the rest of the good officers that are on the force. He don't want these guys and girls representing them as officers because that's not what he thought he was signing up for. He believed that he was under an oath to protect and serve the people, not the officers. That the people came first. And no matter who was in the wrong, other people or other officers, or even himself, that the people will always be protected. That not hiding behind the shield. And that's what he was trying to break through. And hopefully you all will share the video, share the video as much as you can. Share his message. Share his message. Because his message is about creating real systemic change. Real systemic change. I mean, real systemic change. That's what the brother wants. And so, if you can do that, greatly appreciate it. Make sure if you have any information that you all can see, the flyer here of the young babies that are still missing. If you have any information, please look for those babies. If you have any information, those young babies have been missing since December. And it's important that we find them. So if you have any information, make sure you contact the police departments. Make sure that you get that information to someone so that they can be found. Their life is precious, just like yours and the rest of the children that are out here. So whatever you can do to do that, make sure that you do. So we appreciate all the great work, all the hard work that so many other people are doing. Make sure that you do what you can while we're here on this earth. Make sure y'all go and like Power Moves 365. Make sure y'all follow all the great work that the NAACP is doing here in Bakersfield and across the country. Make sure that you guys go and subscribe to Power Moves 365, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Y'all make sure y'all go and subscribe. There's gonna be some great things, some great content and things like that coming out as well. Some great activities and stuff that's gonna be coming out with the NAACP. As you know, you have the power to make the change within your life 365 days a year. You have the power to do that. You have the power to make the difference. You are what we need in our community in order to do that. And so as we go out tonight, y'all get your rest. You do what you need to do to make sure that you are being a fantastic community person and leader that we need in order for our community to be better. So y'all make sure y'all continue to share the messages. Make sure y'all we look for these babies, and make sure y'all be safe while we're in this pandemic. COVID-19 is still here and it's still real. So y'all be safe out there. I love y'all. Game changer. Out.